Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to do a little bit more of a gear comparison, and I'm not really sure if this is even relevant for anybody, but I'll kind of explain what I'm thinking and why I'm doing this for you guys. So just recently Leica announced for the SL system the release of two new lenses, two Summicron lenses for their SL mount, and that is the 50mm f2 Summicron, this bad boy right here, and then also the 35 f2. There's been a lot of controversy around this because it seems like Leica has been partnering with third-party or other manufacturers to kind of rebadge and re-release lenses. Specifically, there was the 24-70 f2.8 that seems to be a Sigma Art lens rebrand. They just recently announced the 100-400, which also seems to be a Sigma rebrand. And those are both very, very good lenses, so I'm not upset about that. But these Summicron specifically appear to be, it's not confirmed, rebadged 1.8 Lumix lenses. Now, there's good news and bad news about this. The good news is that the Lumix glass, I think, is very, very good. In fact, of all the manufacturers that are kind of making these primes, not their pro primes, that are making these kind of like more affordable primes, I think Lumix does it best, followed by Nikon. I think Canon's kind of like affordable glass is kind of garbage, and the actual native Sony stuff is not as great as well. But the actual Lumix glass, I think, has a little bit of character, and it looks really good, whereas the Nikon glass is really sharp. I think it lacks some character, but it is good. But the Lumix stuff is good, like I said. Now, the difference between this 50 f2 Summicron and the 51.8 Panasonic is that this is actually made in Portugal, in Leica's factory there, whereas the Lumix one, I think, is made in Japan. This is housed in all metal, whereas the Lumix one is housed in plastic. And, you know, there's rumors that maybe the tolerancing and that kind of stuff is better, and the production requirements are better in the Leica version than they are in the Panasonic version. But from all intents and purposes, it seems like it's the exact same lens design, lens elements, and I'm not even have proof that there's different coatings on these lenses. I don't know. There's a video I think I can link to you guys up there. Somebody just recently compared them. You can take a look at this to kind of see of what the 51.8 Lumix is versus the 50mm f2 Summicron. So all that to say, there's been some controversy around what Leica's been doing with some of these cameras. Now, I've owned the Panasonic system, and I've had the 51.8, and I have also owned this. This feels much nicer in the hand, but if you're on a budget, just get the Panasonic. From what I understand, it seems to be the same. The only difference might be, like I said, is some tolerancing or some production control requirements, and also maybe the autofocus talks a bit better on this lens to the actual SL bodies versus the Panasonic one. In any case, what I want to do today is compare the 50mm Summicron that I have for M mount right here to the 50mm SL lens that just came out. And the reason why is because these both are quote-unquote Leica glass 50mm Summicrons. They both cover full-frame sensors. There's obviously a massive size difference between the two. And this is a quote-unquote true Summicron. This is the version 5. And a lot of people, when you buy an SL camera, say you should look into and use M glass on the SL because it seems to mate up and marry really, really well. And I want to understand what are the actual differences, or optically, what happens when you take a real quote-unquote Summicron versus a, we'll call it a Lumix-cron, if you will, for the sake of this video, and compare the two. Now, one's obviously much bigger, like I said. There's autofocus, which is awesome. This one's much smaller. This is manual focus, a true rangefinder lens that has, you know, all the manual markings so you can zone focus and that kind of stuff. And what I want to do is just take a few photos. And so I'm going to put these on the Leica SL2S. I'm going to set white balance manually. I'm going to set the JPEG to be standard. And we're going to take a few photos and we're going to compare them in post. All right, on this channel we try to have a little bit of fun, and since I don't have any real humans to take photos of right now, we're going to find a little humor in shooting baby in a bush. This is actually my little baby daughter's baby, and I want to take some pictures of something with some kind of like a skin tone, and see how the bokeh is in the background, and that kind of stuff. So we're going to start with the 50mm SL version, then we'll switch over to the M version. Okay, come here, baby. Look at the face tracking. It's worked like an absolute charm here. We've got it at ISO 100. We've got f2. We're going to get maximum bokeh here. We got face and eye tracking on, 1/640th of a second. Let's switch over now. All right, f2, same settings. All right, so that was shot one. Let's look at the results right now. All right, for shot number two, we're gonna go to our old faithful trusty Redbird. Remember this guy, he makes his appearance in several of my videos. I'm gonna put him on the porch here. Again, same thing. Try to focus on his eye and see how it looks different. These lenses will sometimes have different character and different color reproduction. So we'll do the same thing with Redbird right here up on the edge of this pillar. I should also tell you that I've set the white balance to cloudy. It is cloudy outside, so that's kind of what we're using for white balance. All right, let's take the photo. We're gonna do the same things here. We're gonna do f2, and we're gonna do, all right, so I think 1/250th is the right exposure here. Switch back over to the SL. Okay. All right, so here are the results with the Redbird. Let's take a look at those as well. Okay, last but not least, we are going to take a photo at f8, not just stop down, and we'll take a picture specifically of the top of that bush right there. There's gonna be a lot of detail in the pines and stuff like that. Again, this is kind of a weak subject I'm picking, but it's got greens in it, which I think is one of those colors that can kind of change with lenses, and I want to see just how sharp it looks. So we're going to do f8 on both lenses. Take that photo right now. And the shutter speed needs to be around, let's do 1/125th to kind of eliminate shake, and we're going to have to bump the ISO just a little bit to ISO 400. So I got 1/160th f8, ISO 400. I'm going to focus on this fern right here. Boom. Okay, f8. All right, so let's go put this in post, and let's take a look at these real fast. All right, so hopefully it's really windy out here. We're back outside, and I looked at the pictures, and it's interesting. Couple thoughts. First of all, if you're a Leica M-body user, it's obviously a no-brainer that you need to have the M-mount glass, and it can be used on the SL. I would say comparatively, the SL seems a bit sharper, and there's a bit more contrast, and it has a bit of an overall warmer rendering from what I can tell. Again, I set white balance and I set exposure exactly the same, so there was no white balance shift in those JPEGs that I showed you guys. It seems to me that the M version has a little bit less contrast. It has a bit more of a filmic look, if you will. And I didn't get a chance to test with lights in the background, but I do know that the bokeh at f2 on the M glass has a bit more character, a bit more of like circular stuff going on, which goes away when you stop it down, by the way, versus the SL glass. I think it really comes down to, you know, are you going to be a primarily SL shooter, L-mount shooter? Are you also going to share the glass with your M body? But surprisingly, I kind of like the rendering of the L mount, the SL50 CRON, better than the M mount. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think from a sharpness perspective, adding autofocus, the colors contrast, the warmness of the lens, the warm color rendering of the lens, I think the Lumix CRON did a great job. So, I don't know. Share your thoughts below, guys. That's just my initial impressions. I appreciate it. See you next time.